Today we're going to talk about editing. How do you know your book's ready to revise? How do you actually revise? What kind of editors do you need to look at? So, if you have any specific questions that you want answered about editing, go ahead and drop them down below and I will make a Q&A video about them. The first thing that you want to consider when you are getting your book ready for revision and wondering if it's finished, there's a few things you can ask yourself. The most basic being, does it have a beginning? Does it have a middle? Does it have an end? Are these clear? Do they flow into each other? Do they make sense? And if you want more specific beat structures or you are confused about this, go ahead and check out this video series here. That will help you with basic structure to ensure that you have these three things. Another thing that you want to consider will be the word count. So if you are writing a novel, for example, you're going to need more than 10,000 words, even if that 10,000 words will have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So, some word counts for you. For short stories, it can be anything between 2,000 words and 10,000 words. And if you go up from that, you have your novellas or novelettes, and those are going to be between 15,000 and 30,000. And then you have your novels, which the minimum for a full standard novel is generally about 50,000 words to 80,000 or 100,000, depending on which genre you're in. In young adult, generally you don't want to go over 80,000. And then there are some genres that just you expect a higher page count, higher word count. For example, fantasy. Usually you'll get pretty longer books. A good rule of thumb, though, is you don't want your novel to be past 110,000 words. Generally, most people won't publish that. Now, that is not to say that you have to have these words to start revising. It's just something that I want you to think about as you revise. To know if you are in a place to revise, make sure you have a beginning, middle, and an end. Make sure you have a main character. Who are your readers following? What are their goals? Make sure there is a clear goal. And if you feel like you have those and you've told a story, you're good to go. There's also the method of you can create, sometimes it's called a logline. And then another thing that you'll want to do around this stage is start finding people that are going to be able to read the novel for you, give you an outside opinion. And sometimes this can be the scariest part for authors, is to actually have other people reading our work and commenting on it. But you will never grow as an author or as a writer if you skip this step. You can publish the book. You can just vomit it out, stick it out for the world to see, but you decrease your chances of being successful that way. And the log line is basically going to be kind of like the back matter of the book. It's not exactly your book blurb, but it's going to be a good place for you to start. It's a really good way to summarize your entire story as a whole. There are some that will do it in a few sentences. There's one that I know of that you're supposed to try to get it down to 2 sentences. Not necessarily short sentences, but 2 sentences. And you're going to want to introduce your conflict, your characters, the opposition, and what the stakes are, what they're going to be up against. One of my favorite logline structures comes from Jim Butcher. He's the author of the Dresden Files. If you haven't read them, go read them. But basically, he calls this the story skeleton. This is the structure you'll use. When something happens, your protagonist pursues a goal. But will they succeed when the antagonist provides opposition? You can fill this out before you even start writing your book, and you can fill it out after you've written your book. And if you have these pieces and you have what you feel is a finished draft, you're probably good to start revising. Of course, in the revision process, anything can change and you might have to do a bunch of rewriting, but this is a good place to start. And then before I dive into the nitty-gritty details, I just wanted to give you an idea of what the revision process and really the writing process is going to look like. So first things first, you want to outline your story. Make sure you have an idea of where it's going so you can get it drafted as fast as you can, as fast as possible. So you're going to finish your first draft, and then you're going to do what I like to call as the fast read through. You're going to go through and read your manuscript, searching for any continuity problems, any glaringly obvious plot holes, anything that might be unfinished, and you're going to want to take note of these things. Don't fix them yet. Just take note and then go back. You can also, on this, if you want to make your life a little easier, you can note page numbers After you've done your fast read through, you are going to go back and fix those things you've noticed. You're going to go through and you're going to fix all of those things that you noticed, and then you are going to start your line edit. And line edits, I will be making a more detailed video explaining these, but basically you're making your prose clearer, more concise, succinct, so that your readers understand the story. So there's as little obstacles as possible for them to understand the story, relate to the characters, and go on a journey. Okay, so you're looking to make this as easy for your readers as possible. And you're also going to want to look for things like repetition. You want to look at the dialogue, clean that up if it needs it. This is when you can go refine your character voice that we talked about in this video up here. And then once you've done your line edits, you're going to hand your manuscript off to your beta readers. And these are just people who are going to answer 3 simple questions for you. They're going to tell you what they liked about your manuscript, what they didn't like, and if there's anything that stands out to them. So that can be if they noticed a giant plot hole you didn't notice, or anything that confused them. You can ask them, is there anything about this manuscript that confused you? And then once you get that back from them with all their comments and notes, you're going to go through and you're going to fix it. You're going to address them. Now, this doesn't mean that everything they say is accurate, okay? Because some people are going to like something, other people aren't going to like it. What you want to do with these comments is you want to look for anything you agree with. So if someone says, I don't understand why so-and-so did this at this part, go read it back over and be like, oh yeah, it really didn't make sense. And the great thing about this is you will have had a little bit of space away from the manuscript while they read it, and you'll have made a little bit of distance between yourself and the story. But the biggest thing you want to pay attention to with these comments is if there are any patterns. So if every single one of your beta readers says, yeah, the villain was kind of meh, maybe you need to look at that. Maybe you need to look at their arc, their actions, their personality, their character voice. See if you need to tweak that and make them more compelling. Again, not likable, but you do want your characters to be compelling, especially your protagonist and your antagonist, and memorable. Have it so that they make sense. And just address anything that comes up repeatedly in your beta readers' comments. For beta readers, I would say it's best if you can find 5 to 10 people. That might be a hard ask, but that should give you enough variety to go off of for your next set of revisions. Once you finish going through all of their comments and adjusting your manuscript, you are going to do a proofread. After you go and make those edits, you're going to, again, go through, make sure you clarify anything that's clarified with your line edits. You're going to proofread, which the difference between line editing and proofreading. The proofread is basically just catching any spelling errors, punctuation errors, the very basic stuff. Once you've done that, you are going to find 1 to 3 more readers who can look over the now revised manuscript, and you're going to get comments from them. You're going to get your manuscript back from them, make any final changes that you need, again, look at the proofread, and then you can start thinking about if it needs to go to a professional editor, which kind of editor you might need. I'm not going to lie, editors, while they are very valuable, they are a little on the expensive side. So if you can do a large bulk of this work yourself, once you hand it off to an editor, professional editor, they will probably have to spend less time with the manuscript, and it will save you money. And that brings me to the different types of editors you will encounter. You have your developmental editor, and they are looking at big picture things. They're not going to be looking at, is this sentence grammatical? Is this formatted correctly? They're going to look at the big picture parts of your story. Character, motivation, plot holes, continuity, and overall cohesion, and if there's anything confusing in the manuscript. This is versus a copy editor or a line editor. They're interchangeable from my understanding. And they are going to look at your prose specifically. So they're going to look for words that you repeat, paragraphs that you might repeat consistently, things like that. So anything that makes your writing clunky, your physical writing, not the story aspect, but the writing itself, really clunky and hard to understand. These are different from the proofreader, which will be your cheapest editor that you will hire. And basically, this is just another set of eyes to catch any spelling errors, any last-minute punctuation errors, grammatic errors, those types of things. First, you're going to ask yourself, does my manuscript have characters? A main character, and an antagonist? Is there a beginning, a middle, and an end? Do I feel like I have told a story in its entirety? Or if you are writing a series, do you feel like you have told part of a story with closure that then you can lead into the next part of the story? Because even in a series, you should still have in each book a a beginning, a middle, and an end for each book. That you can still have your cliffhangers, but you want to have some form of closure or conclusion for your readers. You want to think about how long your novel is going to be. Is it a novel? Is it a short story? Is it a novella? What genre is it? And then that'll give you an idea of where you want to be word count wise, page wise. And then look at the revision process. So finish your first draft, look for developmental edits on your own with a fast read through, edit those plot holes, do line edits, hand it off to beta readers, get those comments back, process them, go through, figure out what you agree with, what you don't, what you need to change, make those changes, do another round of line edits, hand off to more readers, a smaller pool, just to catch any last minute things, put those into effect, fix those, and then proofread and look for editors. And if you do all of this, this is the basic structure of revision and editing. I will expand on these in future videos as well. And that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. If you have any further questions, please drop them down below. I'm sure I forgot something in here. And yeah, until next time.